Hey guys, welcome back. So in this video, I'm actually going to talk about how to use artboards in Photoshop. So there's a few different reasons why you should be using artboards in Photoshop. One, if you want to create a body of work and you want to come up with ideas really quickly, using artboards in Photoshop is a really good way to organize all of your ideas and come up with some quick concepts. And also if you're working with a client, whether you're a graphic designer, web or UX, or even an illustrator, if you just organize your ideas in one file, you can have different artboards. It could be a good way to show your process, and if you're working with a client, it could be a good way to show them how you're thinking about design. So I once had a design instructor over a decade ago tell our whole class that design is order, design is organization. And so when you get to the point of, okay, you have all these ideas and maybe you've pulled some references off the internet and maybe scanned some stuff in, whatever inspires you to create a project. So organizing all of your work in one Photoshop artboard is a great way to stay number one, to stay organized, and number two, it could be a good way to kind of like backtrack on your steps. So whatever project you're designing, using artboards in Photoshop is a great way to get everything organized and provide you a little bit of structure. So let's go ahead and dive right in. In this video, we're going to talk about how to create an inspiration board using artboards in Photoshop. Here I have a collection of reference images that I found online. I like these images because of the colors, like the wide range of colors. So it's giving me a little bit of inspiration to create different color ideas and sample these images. So I'll show you exactly how I do that. Go ahead and open up Adobe Photoshop. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to File, New, to create a new document. I like to work on an 11 by 17, but if you want, you can definitely just do the regular paper size, which is 8.5 by 11, in case you wanted to print it out. Let's go ahead and create that, and we're gonna do 300 DPI for resolution. So this is how we're gonna create a new artboard. We wanna make sure our layers palette is open, and if not, we can go to Window, Layers to open that up. We wanna go to this little hamburger icon on the top right corner of the palette, and then we're going to go to New Artboard. Go ahead and press Return. We can always rename that later, but if you noticed, it created a small artboard. So what we can do is we can pull this out to, let's say we wanted to do 11 by 8.5, and there we go. So that's actually 10. Let's do 11. And then all you got to do is click on the canvas. And then if you want to create new layers, you can do that as well. And if you want to rename your artboard, you can name it as Inspiration Mood Board 1 or something like that. And then you can duplicate artboard, and we'll do, now we have 2 artboards here. And then we could just zoom out pressing Command minus or Command plus. So what we're going to do is we're going to bring in reference images in our Inspiration Mood Board 1. So what we'll do is we'll make sure that we're clicking onto the top layer and not on the bottom layer. So we'll go ahead and lock this layer so that we don't accidentally put anything on it. And we'll do that for both. These 2 layers above, you can rename it if you want or just leave it as is. And then also, before I begin any major work, I like to just quickly save the file. So let's just do Inspiration Mood Board. I'll just put that on the desktop for now. Here's our reference images. So after you have created a folder of reference images or images that inspire you, so then we can go ahead and import it or open it into Photoshop. So the way that I like to do it is just to simply drag it in, and then I like to hold down Shift and I drag one of the corners so that I can resize them down. And then we'll just keep on doing that, and I'm just going to speed up this process so that you don't have to suffer through opening up the images in Photoshop. Okay, so now that we have our images here, the second thing that I want to do is, okay, so I'm seeing like a recurring theme here that I've spotted. One is the pink and the purple. So what I want to do is I want to color sample some of these images. So I'll go ahead and press I for the eyedropper tool, or you can go right here in the tools bar. I'm going to pick out this light purple, and I'm going to press B for the brush tool, and I want to make sure that I am on layer 2 in Artboard 2, and then I'll just go ahead and choose one of these brushes. So I'll pick this, and then pressing the space bar to kind of move my canvas around. And also I have a small little Wacom tablet with a pen. This is fairly inexpensive. I think it was like $80 at Best Buy, or you can order it on Amazon. I am just going to paint in some color, and I'm pressing the right and the left brackets on my keyboard to increase or decrease the size of the brush. Just go ahead and paint in this lavender. So right now I'm just making color swatches. All right, so now that we have our inspiration board here on the left, and then kind of like our color mood board here on the right, let's create a new artboard to kind of try some new ideas out. Go to the hamburger menu, we'll click on new artboard. Here we can create some layers just to get it going. I think what I want to do is I want to try this color combination here. What we can do is we can try to look for it in our first artboard. So there it is. So we'll go ahead and press Command J, copy it, and move it all the way up here. So here we have our duplicate. What I'm actually going to do is I'm going to use my Photoshop brushes. Okay, so now we're here. I have this third artboard and I've named it Ideas and Concepts. I'm going to use my watercolor brush set. I've already imported this brush file. I'm just going to go through this just a little bit. And if you're interested, I actually sell this on Creative Market. I'll put a link down below this video, but feel free to use any kind of brushes, especially if you're just doing some quick sketches or quick mock-ups or concepts of some ideas you might have. For example, I typically like to use my watercolor brushes because I do like to create backgrounds. Actually, what I'm gonna do is gonna draw in a quick square, and then let's make sure that we're on a layer that we're not using. So this top layer here that says pastel colored gradient, that's actually my sample image, so we do not want to like draw on that. Draw below that, and so I'm just gonna make a quick canvas. So let's see, maybe like a off-white. Okay, so this is my pretend canvas, and then we can create a new layer above it so that actually doesn't change. This is just a little guide to give yourself an area to paint. And so we'll go ahead and press B for brush. You can press the right or the left brackets on your keyboard to increase or decrease the size of the brush. And then we can press the eyedropper tool if we want to sample this color. For example, if I wanted to quickly block out this area and say, oh, I kind of like this color, going to do that with this, and don't worry about perfection right now, because right now all we're doing is trying to come up with some quick ideas. And then I've got this watercolor shape. I'm just going to create a new layer. So layer 4 down here. If you want to rename your layers so that you don't get lost, it's probably a good idea. So I'm just going to do light turquoise down here. start painting on the layer above it. This time I'm going to do maybe this yellow. And so this is just a quick idea. I'm not necessarily copying it, but I do want to see how the colors go together. I maybe like this magenta color on the top. For this, we'll use this one right here. And then, you know, for blending layers, you can always bump down the transparency to have it blend in just a little bit. Okay, so I'm actually gonna do Command Z. I just realized that I painted on the same layer as the yellow and I don't want that. So we'll do it here on the top layer, and then we'll bump down the transparency to see how it blends together. And then you can also mess with the layer blend modes. So maybe we can do color burn. And then again, you can move this around. You can do whatever you want. This is just an easy way that I like to just kind of start the process, even if I don't know where I'm going to end up. This is a good way to explore ideas and not get too caught up about being too perfect. So I like to do a new layer for each of the different colors so that I can have more freedom to move it around. If I don't like it, I can always just delete it without affecting the layer below it. And again, you can also lower down the brush opacity if you think the color is a little too much. It's a little too much. So we'll go down and bump down the transparency. Okay, that's kind of cool. So yeah, this is kind of like how I like to work. I typically work on a actual artboard, but for the purpose of this video, I wanted to show you a quick way of coming up with ideas and concepts. I've chosen another brush and I've created a new layer, and so I'm just going to go in and paint. So this is like a really fun way to kind of just generate ideas without worrying too much about how it's gonna turn out. Also, you don't have to spend a lot of time doing this. So that's kind of cool. I didn't want to recreate this, but I did like the color scheme. So I might actually go back and reconfigure this whole layout. Okay, so this whole thing here that I created, I can put in a folder. And I can do, so that's actually this group right here. This is within the third artboard. And so I'm just going to name it first concept or something. For drawing, this is a good way to, like, if you are creating drawings or creating quick thumbnail sketches, this is a good way to get all your ideas in one place. For example, if I was actually doing a drawing, create quick thumbnail sketches. So if you were doing a layout for a background or doing some quick character sketches, you can put them here. I know that before we start drawing, we want to come up with different ideas. Like, for example, maybe that's going to be in the foreground and something's going to be in the back. You can do little thumbnail sketches inside Photoshop artboards. Come up with quick ideas. If you're doing like a background or something, this is just an example. This could be a good way to plan out paintings, plan out drawings, and you can create as many artboards as you want. There's this little plus sign here, so you can create another artboard that way. And so when you look at this as a set, you can plan out all of your colors here in your inspiration board, and then you can have like all of your reference images here on one side, and then, you know, generating concepts and then finalizing these rough concepts here. So have fun with it. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out, and I hope you found this tutorial helpful. And if you like content like this and want to see more, please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel for more videos. I'll see you soon. Bye.